for help for your food addiction and you don't know where to start? Welcome to the series Food Addiction Frontlines, where we uncover the expertise and services available for overcoming food addiction. I'm Dr. Vera Tarman, an addictions physician specializing in sugar and ultra-processed food addiction, here to introduce you to professionals making a difference in this field. In each 15-minute episode, we'll meet leading experts in this field. They'll share their journey, their training, and the unique services they provide for all who struggle with food addiction. So let us help you find the treatment that is best for you. Today, we speak with Zippy Livneh. Welcome.
Thank you, Vera. It's a pleasure to be here and an honor to be on this interview.
What inspired you to specialize in food addiction? I understand you were a nurse before, but what got you into food addiction?
I'm a nurse by profession, and for many years I was working in the pharmaceutical industry. So reading research papers and learning, like usually I would work on very scientific products, and learning the science behind these different things always interested me very much. Having said that, for close to 27 years, I have been in a 12-step recovery program for food addiction because for as long as I can remember, I struggled with sugar addiction, with compulsive overeating, with binging. And really, when I started looking for a solution to my food addiction, that was when I found it, versus all the other times when I tried to get a diet. But at some point, the science behind, like I was in a 12 steps program, which is just a peer support group. And sometimes I would see people who really I thought they would benefit from professional counseling, like the same way other addictions have professional counselors. That was when I started researching food addiction as a science. This is really when this profession was in its baby steps. I think there were 4 or 5 people in the field at that time that I knew of in the world, and you were one of them. That was when I started reading any article I could get my hands on. I traveled, but eventually I left pharmaceuticals and decided to realize my dream, which is to become a food addiction professional. So I've been doing this now for close to 7 years. I have a private practice, and I'm also very proud to be active on the international level of food addiction treatment. I am the chair and co-founder of the first and only, as far as I know, international food addiction professionals network, and where we really help each other and share best practice. And also I'm involved in a clinical study now in Israel. That's my qualifications.
Tell us a little bit more about your training in food addiction.
So first of all, I self-trained for many years because there was no official training when I started learning on this subject, but eventually a certification course came about and I took the INFACT certification course, International Food Addiction Certification Training. I have also the medical background of nursing, which was a huge benefit for this, and I'm also a certified food addiction counselor.
What actual services do you provide?
At this time, I am providing an exclusively personal one-on-one counseling. My program is very personalized. It usually lasts approximately 3 months, and it constitutes a one-on-one weekly meetings and support in between. And the goal of my program is to help people to, on the one hand, kickstart or get into physical recovery, to start abstaining from sugary, ultra-processed foods that trigger their addiction. But on the other hand, it's a life-changing program because in parallel, we also talk about changing the relationship with food, which is what helps make it a long-term change. How to continue on after the 3-month program, what to do, how to change that whole inner talk regarding different foods. And I basically say that the whole point of my program after the initial sugar detox is to teach you to love food that loves you back.
That's great. So you offer a diet plan or a food plan, and you help them detox on a weekly basis, usually for about 3 months. After they're past the detox, 3 and 4 weeks, you'll help them with relapse prevention tools.
So yes, I definitely, part of the program is giving relapse prevention tools. I do have many participants who continue on an as needed maintenance basis. I also really help them to learn about other programs like 12-step recovery programs for continuing support. That's another thing that definitely a large part of my program is geared towards the long term, towards how to make this really a life change rather than just some detox or diet program and then you're done.
What would you consider to be your biggest strength? What makes you unique in the field?
I think there's a few things that make me unique. First of all, my nursing training, and I also have very broad knowledge in diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes. And people who really want someone who is well educated and has a lot of experience also helping with metabolic syndrome problems like type 2 diabetes. This is something that I definitely have a lot of experience, and I work closely also with dietitians to counsel. So that's one of my specialties that I love. Another specialty is couples, people who want to do this as a family unit. Let's say somebody with their partner wants to do this. So that's another specialty of mine. That's actually one of my favorite programs to give. And the other thing also is I live in Israel and I'm Jewish and I'm also Orthodox. So people and there are a lot of dietary limitations for people who are traditionally Jewish, and also the culture is very food oriented, so that I really have a huge strength and a lot of experience for people who come from cultural backgrounds like Judaism, where there's a very big focus on food. There's a very big food culture or food limitations or certain dictates to the society or to the religion. So these are things that I'm very experienced in taking into account. This is one of the reasons why my specialties really are such that my program is built around a very individual and personalized approach. There are plenty of group therapies, and I'm a big fan of group therapy, but there are people who really need a personalized approach. Another thing that I can say that really characterizes my program is there are some people who can really get back-to-back abstinence for many years when they're doing everything well, and those people are amazing and they motivate us and they give us hope. But I'm here for those people who sometimes struggle with relapse. A big part of my program is that you don't have to be perfect to succeed. And one of the things that I teach in my program is if you do have a slip or a relapse, how it not to make it the end of the world, but rather than falling into this like snowball effect, pulling out of the relapse.
Okay, great. You also do a fair amount of education. You've always got these videos that you present.
That's right.
Yeah.
I love teaching, and people who come to my program will really learn a lot. I always say that anything that I tell my participants to do, by the end of the program, they know exactly why they should do it. So I have a lot of teaching videos. I also teach medical professionals about ultra-processed food addiction, and I'm happy to say it's a big part of my professional activities as well.
That's great. Your involvement with family members or support systems like 12 Step.
Sure. Well, none of us live on a desert island. We all have families or loved ones or house members or community members that we have to take into account, especially regarding food addiction because of the environment we live in that is obesogenic, that promotes obesity and overeating. And so much of our food is engineered to be addictive. And yet, from a social or cultural point of view, it's still something that's considered very positive, the joy of life. This is something that people who have food addiction really have to learn how to navigate their family life, their work life, their social life, television, everything where we're constantly being stimulated, eat me, drink me. And on the other hand, take into account people that are near us, that we live with, that maybe are not on a food addiction recovery journey. So I definitely think that this is a huge part of it, learning how to live in today's society. That's a lot of the challenges. And I think that's why today food addiction does need a specific treatment regimen. And that's also part of the personalization that I do in my program.
Working in this field, it's called the Food Addiction Frontlines, this video series. How do you manage to not get in the way of your own clients?
That's a great question, Vera. I have to say that I'm very honest and upfront with my participants. I think that sharing with them the experiences and the challenges that I go through personally as a food addict gives them a lot of strength, actually. So I'm very honest with my participants, and I also share a lot of my personal experiences. Having said that, I don't do this alone either. I take an active part of a 12-step support group. I have a mentor who I go to and who's somebody who I'm accountable to. And I also have ups and downs in my recovery. It's life. And I bet one of the things that I really, and this is why I so appreciate this program that you're doing, is that I don't try to do it alone. And I really, when I see that I'm not managing to do whatever it is I need alone, I ask for help. And I think that's probably one of the main messages that I could give to the people watching this interview is, if you've tried it alone and you've tried it again and you've tried it again and it hasn't worked.
Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you can tell us to showcase your work?
I live in Israel, which is the Israel timeline. So I do have participants who live in US and Canada. Europe is very easy for me because that's close on the timeline. I think we've covered everything, Vera.
How can people learn more about you?
So you can look me up on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Zippy Livneh, Sugar-Free Recovery. I have a very active YouTube channel where there's tons of, as Vera said, I love to teach. So there's every week or two, I come out with a short video. So you can really check me out there. And I will be leaving contact details here as well. Email me, reach out on WhatsApp. I'm always open for a free consultation discussion, a 15-minute, 20-minute call to people who want to know more about my program, and we can discuss together how I can help them.
Do you have any last words to leave the listener?
Yes, I do. I know that this is a very difficult addiction. I know a lot of people who have struggled with alcohol and drug and food addiction, and many of them say that the hardest one to recover from is food addiction. And I think the most important message that I have to give the people is, don't give up, don't give in. If you fall in for the 1000th time, get up for the 1001st time. This is not something that's an easy thing. It's a lifelong journey. See it as such. And there's hope for everyone. It is a matter of trial and error until you find the right program, the right coach, the right person for you. But I just never give up. That's my main message to people.
All right. Thank you very much for giving us your time today.
Sugar is the enemy, corrupting the minds of the teens, expelling you not to proceed. Your body's your temple, your mind is your key to a life tapped into happiness. Have it, don't dream it. If only you could see it. It's all in you and I. It's all in you